Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, meanwhile, is claiming that President Biden's proposed agreement with Iran to release 5 jailed Iranian Americans in exchange for $6 billion in assets and imprisoned Iranians is not linked to an attempt to return to a nuclear deal. Watch this.
Nothing about our overall approach to Iran has changed. There is no agreement between us on nuclear matters. The agreement that we're pursuing to bring home those who are wrongfully detained in Iran is an entirely separate matter that we want to bring to a successful conclusion.
Last week, the New York Times reporting that the prisoner deal could smooth the effort to contain Iran's nuclear program. And Iran and the United States appear to be observing an informal agreement under which Iran has limited its nuclear program to avoid harsh American reprisals. Joining me right now is Fox News senior strategic analyst. He is chairman of the Institute for the Study of War, General Jack Keane, back with us. General, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for being here this morning.
Yeah, delighted to be here, Maria.
So how would you assess this partnership or deal with Iran, between Iran and America?
Well, it may not be linked to the giving up $6 billion to the Iranians, because the Biden administration, ever since they came into power, has been trying to return to the nuclear deal. That has been a major policy proclamation of the administration. And we know they've tried time and time again to get a deal, and we haven't got one. And the reality is the Iranians are at least at 60% enrichment, and that's pretty close to weaponization. People believe at 90% is weaponization. You can get there in a matter of a few weeks. So what has happened here in the region is Iran's going to get a windfall of $6 billion. The administration is claiming that they believe they can control that money so that it goes directly to the people. I think we have to be skeptical about that, Maria. I mean, Iran controls everything that goes on inside of Iran and with their people. And I got to believe that if they want access to that money, which I think they will, they'll get access to it. The second thing, I think, when we look at the deal like this, is draw back from it and say, is Iran receiving this money, even if it's supposed to go just to their people and not to their government? Is this an incentive for them to take more American citizens? And I say absolutely it is, because of the sheer scale of this. When the Obama administration got into ransom for hostages, it was initially $400 million and then followed by $1.5 billion. That was U.S. taxpayers' money for sure. And this is considerably more money. It's not U.S. taxpayers' money. It's money owed as a result of a deal with South Korea for oil. But nonetheless, you know, I know, and our viewers know that Iran will take this money and use it to aggressively move towards their strategic objective, which is dominate and control the region and attempt to control the flow of Mideast oil out of the Persian Gulf. Right. And we've seen that happening in the last few weeks.
Yeah, and we know that Iran is the biggest sponsor, state sponsor of terrorism. So I'm just scratching my head here saying, why does this administration unleash $6 billion so that they can take the money and do what they've been doing? Did Iran do anything to make America think that there was a change in colors here? Same thing with China. Why this soft approach constantly? You know, we've got Nebraska Congressman Don Bacon right now posting on X or Twitter that the FBI told him Chinese hackers breached his personal and his campaign email accounts. He said that the CCP had access from May 15th to June 16th of this year. This is the same time that the hackers breached the emails of Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo, the U.S. ambassador to China, and the senior State Department officials, General. You remember this. Anthony Blinken was getting ready to go on a trip to try to help the communication between the two countries. And in the meantime, the CCP is hacking the State Department's and his emails. What was recourse?
The cyber espionage.
Again, no recourse.
The cyber espionage campaign that they're conducting inside the United States is the most comprehensive penetration of American society in our history. What the Russians are doing, the Iranians and the North Korean, absolutely pales by comparison. There's not thousands of people involved in this penetration from China. There's hundreds of thousands. There's millions and millions of penetrations being made every day. And every once in a while, we get public awareness of something that is happening. But it is going on constantly, Maria. Now, the flip side of this, do we do this to China also? Yes. Do we gather intelligence? Is our purpose. We're not stealing an intellectual property. But here's the other shoe that will drop. If conflict operations happen with China, let's say over Taiwan, they will try to defeat the United States at home by conducting cyber offensive operations against our electric grid to shut it down, our finance and banking systems, our oil and gas distribution systems, just to name a few of the critical infrastructure. That is the way of war in the future, and that's the reality of it. Now, we have exquisite offensive capability ourselves to go back at the Chinese in the event something like this happened. But you got to believe that all of the penetrations they're making in peacetime also would serve them well in making much more aggressive penetrations in wartime.
Yeah, I mean, look at what's going on here. You know, you've got the CCP investing and focusing on their military. They've got a larger Navy than we do, as you've pointed out umpteen times in the last several years. You've got a surveillance balloon from China coming in and traveling America for a week. You've got police stations here. You've got all this cyber activity that you're referring to. And yet, you know, I mean, we're about to talk about a situation where Janet Yellen went to dinner in Beijing and her Chinese host did the ordering, and they ordered psychedelic mushrooms for her. I mean, it's beyond the pale, the fact that this administration has absolutely no response whatsoever to all of these provocations from China. Honestly, don't you think that they're mocking us with these psychedelic mushrooms and mocking us with the constant, surveillance, even as the U.S. sends people there to try to have a conversation?
Yeah, well, I mean, the pettiness of that is outrageous. And you would expect, even from an adversary, that our dignitaries and officials would be treated with respect
Exactly.
when they're in the host country there.
That's
like
right.
that. But, I mean, Maria, to your point, is a good one. And something has happened with the administration since the spy balloon. I was giving them real credit in terms of pulling the allies and partners together. I've been very critical of them in not doing enough militarily to upgun our capability in the region. But nonetheless, it looks like we've been reaching out diplomatically and offering conciliatory remarks towards them to avoid provoking the Chinese. Ever since the spy balloon incident, our path with China and our tone with China has changed.
Yep.
And I don't get involved in politics, but my gut feel it has something to do with the upcoming election in the United States, to make certain that we're not on pins and needles with China, that the situation has calmed down. But it is China's aggression that is driving the tension in the relationship, not the United States.
Absolutely.
And we're just discussing it today.
No,
cyber espionage against our government officials.
Yeah.
And it's every single day, and you see what's going on in the region every single day with their military intimidation and coercion of Taiwan and those of our allies. It is China that is causing the aggression and the tension in this relationship.
Absolutely. General, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. Thanks very much. I don't think there's any question.
Great talking to you, Maria.
I don't think there's any question that China is driving this relationship. And that's a sad situation when you've got so much provocation. General Jack Keane, we will see you soon, sir. Thank you. We'll be right back.